Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Entertainment Now podcast. My name is Nick.
And my name is Ian, and I'm here.
That is Ian. And Ian is here in person. So I'll have, I typically put the video up on the YouTube channel. But he's here, so we're not recording video, so we're not doing it like over Zoom or whatever. So there won't be any video to put up. I'll put this up as like audio only on the YouTube channel though. So if you're watching this on YouTube, give us the thumbs up, all the YouTube kind of stuff. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcatcher, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. Mm-hmm. What's been going on, Ian?
Nothing. I was just going to say, the audio only on YouTube seems weird, but I've actually been, in lieu of podcasts, some of the YouTube channels I watch that are like live streams and stuff.
Yeah.
It's all just talking heads anyway. So I've actually started just turning them on in my car and just listening to them.
I've done that before too.
So, it's not as weird as it sounds.
No, and I would say that there's a lot of podcasts that do that. They put up just audio only on there with like a static image or like a series of images or whatever.
Right. Like a sound wave thing.
Yeah, or that. Yeah. So, I mean, it's whatever. We'll go back to doing the videos next week, but
yeah. For right now, I think it's going to be half and half.
Yeah. A little bit of a mixture between the two, but so what's been going on, man?
Well, I was hoping that talking about my YouTube habits would be enough, but apparently you want more.
Oh, okay. I was scrolling through. So before we started recording, we were talking about like movies and stuff like that, and I was just kind of scrolling through Instagram, and I saw this headline, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Okay, hit me.
So Zack Snyder, of course, did. He had the Zack Snyder cut for Justice League.
Yeah,
and it was
the director's cut of Batman v Superman, which is better as well.
Yeah. So the headline says Zack Snyder already planning a director's cut of his next movie, which is
Rebel
Moon, and it's going to be his. He says his cut is an hour longer than what the theatrical release is.
But it's not being released theatrically. It's being released on Netflix.
Well, whatever the original is, yeah.
So if Netflix won't release his cut initially, why would they? Especially since it's broken up into two parts anyway.
Yeah.
Because Rebel Moon Part 1 comes out in December, Rebel Moon Part 2 comes out next year. So is he saying that Rebel Moon Part 1 is an hour longer, or the combination of the two is even an hour longer?
It says, this is what it actually says. Zack Snyder promises a Snyder cut of his upcoming 2-part movie Rebel Moon, which will be roughly an hour longer than the original.
Okay,
so I don't know if that's just the first movie is an hour longer.
It sounds to me like
or
it's both combined.
Both combined is going to be an hour.
Hey, if it doesn't hold back the story, I don't care if the movie's 10 hours long. I mean, people sit and binge watch TV shows for like 10, 12 hours a night. So it's really not about length. It's just about quality. And that being said, obviously his almost 10-hour version of, or wasn't that 10 hours, whatever, 6-7 hour version of Justice League, in my opinion, is infinitely better than the.
Well, it was what, 3-4 hours? How long was his?
It was broken up in like four or 5 parts or something. I don't remember.
It was long. It was good. Long. I think it's kind of weird to even talk about that though before it's released, because aren't you like suppressing initial interest in it? Like,
well, yeah,
because I'm. Now that I see that, I'm just going to probably wait until the Snyder Cut is released to watch it.
Well, the Snyder Cut might be a full-blown, like, both parts together. It's all just one with the extra hours.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm okay with watching it in parts because I'm super excited about it. It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
So
from what I've seen, it looks
I'll watch Rebel Moon Part 1 when it comes out, and then I'll wait for Rebel Moon Part 2, and then I'll wait for the Snyder Cut, and when it comes out, I'll watch it and compare.
Yeah.
So
I just thought it was kind of weird that he'd even come out and say that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Because I would think that I'm sure there's other people out there who are like, well, shit. If you're just gonna release, if all I got to do is wait a couple months, and they're gonna release the full version of it, I'll just wait to see it then.
Well, they might do it as like a You got me like looping with all that.
Sorry, I was scrolling. My phone was still, the audio still on my phone.
The director's cut might be like a home video release type thing too. It might be a special circumstance. It won't be like Netflix releases part 1, then releases part 2, and then waits a few months and just releases the whole version. I don't see Netflix doing that.
They might. I mean, I don't know.
Eh.
Or maybe the full version is only going to be available if you. Well, Netflix doesn't.
Netflix is the only streaming service, maybe with the exception of Max, that's kind of holding itself intact right now. Every other streaming service is kind of like floundering.
Yeah.
So I just don't. I think Netflix has a pretty good business model to get themselves out of the dump that they were in 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
And they should just focus on that.
Well, you see what Disney is doing to get themselves out.
Yeah, they're just dumping product.
Well, that, and they're finally getting around to releasing physical forms of their TV shows.
Yes, I know. I'm super excited because
Yeah.
Mandalorian's finally coming
Yes.
out on physical media.
And there's a bunch of people, because I'm in a big MCU group on Facebook, and man, people are like losing their fucking mind.
In a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah.
That they're finally going to be able to have.
And the sad thing is
of
they're
those
just doing
shows.
Loki and WandaVision. They should.
They will.
I know, but they really need to kick this shit out faster
They will.
because they're it's just strike while the iron's hot. That's what I'm saying. And people are excited. So, you're getting the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian. You're getting the first season of Loki, first season of WandaVision. Don't stop here. By next fall or by next spring, we should get, Boba Fett and Mando 3 and Ahsoka, and then
You will. Now that Bob Iger's fucking running all this shit, he's gonna fucking milk it to fucking death.
Yeah.
He's the reason it's even happening.
Well, that's good. But this is funny though. They announced this, and I'm super excited. But just a month ago, they announced they're no longer making Australian region version Blu-rays and DVDs anymore. They're not making physical media that'll work in Australian players.
Okay, so why? I don't understand why there's regions anyway nowadays.
Well, there was on VHSs too.
I know that, but like
they do it so that because different markets are going to get things at different times, and they don't want people selling it bootleg.
I know it's 2023. If you don't put your shit out, people are gonna fucking bootleg it anyway.
Right. People are going to bootleg it even if you put your shit out.
Yeah.
So just get it out there and get what you can.
So I get it. Like, why spend the time and money in creating region specific when you can just do all
Well, you know what's funny
releases?
is that you could have gone, I don't know if it's still on there, but I could have gone on Amazon and gotten both seasons of The Mandalorian on bootleg DVD for 2 years now.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't buy DVD, I buy Blu-ray or better, but
Yeah.
The point is that that's 2 years they missed their mark.
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes with Loki and
Absolutely.
and WandaVision and anything else that they're doing.
Absolutely.
So
But that's what I'm saying. Like they're in a position where they need to recoup some money. They need to recoup some costs, and that's a really easy way to do it.
And let me
because it's like DVDs and Blu-rays are super fucking cheap to produce.
Right.
And they're going to charge. It's fucking Disney, so they're not going to be fucking.
Well,
cheap.
they're doing limited edition steelbooks, so
Yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily need that. I'm not big on that kind of collectible.
No.
But to be fair, I have the first 6 movies on steelbook.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have them on Blu-ray, and that was the first way they released them on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So I have all 6 of them on their matching steelbooks, and it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So having Mandalorian and all that on steelbook it'll go good with my collection. I can tell you, I don't know if I'm an outlier, but Paramount, the only thing they've done right is they release physical media of Star Trek stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't bought it all. I bought what I liked, but I buy it, and I still kept the streaming service.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I have season 1 of Strange New Worlds, but I still go back and occasionally watch those episodes that I have on Blu-ray on the streaming service.
Yeah. Because it's just easy. It's convenient.
It's convenient. So you're not going to lose much.
No.
It's minuscule because people who are buying the physical media are still going to want to have your service for the next new thing that you release.
Yes.
And then you have that on the streaming service for several months. Then you put it on Blu-ray.
Yeah. I think you're talking about a fraction amount of people that
Only do Blu-ray.
only do Blu-ray.
Right. You're right, because it just doesn't make sense. Because most people who are buying these specific types of films and TV shows, they're dedicated fans.
Yeah.
If that's all you have, if you don't do any more Marvel shows, you might lose them. But technically, you probably wouldn't even do that. If you're still doing the movies, you're still going to get people who stream the movies. you're not going to lose anything.
No.
And that was their fear. They didn't want to release it on DVD or Blu-ray because they're afraid people would stop buying the streaming services.
Yeah. And that's why I said, like, now that they're going to start releasing a couple of them. Now, granted, they're very popular series also.
Right.
They're going to release those. They're going to make a shitload of money. They're not going to lose subscribers.
No.
And then, like I said, Bob Iger's going to see fucking dollar signs. And I think they're just going to start cranking all this shit out.
Good. Because, well, to be fair, I'm not going to buy WandaVision. I will buy Loki.
I'll probably buy Loki.
Because I loved Loki. I wasn't really blown away by WandaVision.
Yeah. It was interesting, but, like, I don't know.
The only problem is it does set up her character, as much as I dislike the way her character's treated in Doctor Strange 2.
Yes.
But it does set that up.
Yes.
Because without that, you don't know why she's that way.
Yeah.
But
even, like, I don't know. Even knowing the backstory, I still don't like the way.
Oh no, I hated how they treated her.
Yeah.
And it could be because Elizabeth Olsen makes me tingly. I mean, she's the hottest of the Olsens by a billion miles.
Yeah.
Even when they were young and not anorexic, she's still hotter than her sisters. And she's ever since she was in Avengers 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, she makes me tingly. So I have a soft spot in my heart for her character, and I hated her going bad because it didn't make sense.
Yeah. Speaking of Elizabeth Olsen and Scarlet Witch, I saw a video on Instagram or somewhere not too long ago, and I don't know. I'm hoping that the person was like joking and it wasn't serious, but it was like a younger person talking about. I don't even remember what they were talking about. Oh, she was like amazed by a cassette player that she had found at like Goodwill. And she's talking about a cassette player, and she was like, I don't know how these, like, I didn't know what it was. And she said she talked to somebody in the store, and they like told her it was cassettes, and they showed her the cassettes, and she like puts in this cassette, and she starts talking about the Beach Boys. And then she was like, oh yeah, that reminds me of this TV show that my mom used to watch from the 80s. And she goes, did you guys know that Elizabeth Olsen, that plays Scarlet Witch, her sisters were in that TV show? It's like, are you talking about fucking Full House? Like,
how old is this girl? Like 10?
She looked old enough to know better. So that's why I was like, I want to be like, have you been living under a rock? Like, what the fuck?
There's another one that's been going around, and I've only seen the stitched version, so I don't know if it's just parody or if it's legitimately real. But it's this woman. She goes, she's doing like an instructional video on how to put a hot dog into a hot dog bun.
Shut the fuck up.
And she shows it. She takes it long way, so the hot dog bun is going one way, and the hot dog is like going the other way. She's like, see, it doesn't fit. So she goes, I'm going to show you how to make it work. So she cuts up the hot dog and then puts in each individual piece into the bun. And she goes, this is how you're supposed to.
That had to be a spoof.
That's what I'm thinking, but it's like she played it so straight, it's hard to tell. It really is. Like, I'm not sure if she's fucking around or if she's that fucking stupid. But and then she's like, you can even put stuff on it like ketchup or.
Oh my God.
Or she goes, ketchup or. Well, I only like ketchup.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Speaking of stupid things,
we can go on and on about that.
Did you see that She-Hulk 2 has been greenlit?
No.
Yes.
I'm okay with it if they do it fucking right.
Yeah.
Because that's such a good character. It really is. It's an underappreciated character in the Marvel
universe
comics. And they did her so fucking wrong.
Oh my God. I liked it up until like just like the end of the series.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it was campy,
I can't say
but
I
that's
didn't
always...
I liked it, but I was just hoping that something was going to fucking happen. Nothing fucking happened.
Yeah.
And what did happen was breaking the fourth wall
and
making the whole MCU like, I don't know what the fuck they were doing. But anyway, if they do it right, because it can tie into Daredevil, because it did. They tried to.
Yeah.
And as it should, because I think it does more in the comics anyway. I'm okay with it if they do it right, but they really need to not do what they fucking did with the first season.
Yeah. It was what, eight episodes long, I think?
Yeah.
I liked the first like 5 or 6 episodes, and then it just started getting kind of weird. And then she broke the fourth wall.
And she was kind of doing that throughout the series. She was talking to the screen, which
that's fine.
Deadpool, and that's fine. And that didn't really bother me. I didn't like it, but it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
But yeah, when they did that whole where she's in the writer's room for Marvel.
Yes.
Ugh. What is wrong with you people? You have to know better.
So
Kevin Feige should have fucking known better.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see, obviously, with the strike and everything going on.
Yeah.
Who knows when
And
who knows even if it's ever going to actually come to fruition. But.
Yeah, even if it is legitimately planned and greenlit, anything that's being planned right now or has been planned for the last 6 months.
It's still like speculation.
It's speculation because the strike is very likely going to axe even some of the most like guaranteed projects.
Yeah.
Just because they're gonna be fighting an uphill battle to get out some of their tentpole stuff. It's just not gonna happen. So could She-Hulk be greenlit for season 2? Yes. Is it likely that they're gonna do She-Hulk and not try to push their more towards their movies and Avengers stuff?
No, but I guess that's the thing with the MCU though, is like their shit is planned out so fucking far in advance.
Right.
Even if they were to like greenlight it now and put like some stuff into motion, like even without the strike, it would probably be at least 2 or 3 years before it even gets filmed.
Well,
So-
I mean, more likely they've got it ready to go. Just in terms of scripts and everything, it's more likely that just it would normally like being greenlit now means they've got scripts. They're pretty much ready to start pre-production, and now pre-production is not going to start until next year. So where it could have been released late next year, it's not going to be released late in 25.
Yeah, I mean, like, and that's what I was saying. Like, even like strike aside, I don't think it would have, because their TV schedule is already like released in large parts. So like
How far? I mean, I know Loki 2's coming out, but what else is there?
I don't know.
TV-wise?
I'd have to look it up. There's several
I don't think
things coming down.
I didn't think there was much else on the TV end. Oh, Daredevil. Oh no, that's a movie, isn't it? Born Again? Isn't that a movie or is that a TV show?
I think it's a TV show.
Yeah, the more I think about it, you might be right. Which is fine. I'm super looking forward to that because I think the Daredevil character has a lot of potential within the MCU, and that was the only kind of downfall to it with the Netflix show, is it was accepted that it was part of the MCU, but it didn't really touch that much on anything in the MCU.
Yeah.
Whereas this will be truly part of the MCU, and I think that'll do it some justice.
So here's the list. So Secret Invasion already came out.
Right. I still haven't finished it.
Oh man, it's good.
Yeah, that's not what everyone else is saying.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
Loki 2 starts in October.
Right.
What If comes out
I don't-
end of the year.
I don't count the what ifs because it's what if.
Then you've got Echo and Agatha Darkhold Diaries comes out next year. And then you've got Ironheart that's coming out. You've got Daredevil Born Again coming out. You've got another there's a Wakanda series that they're doing. There's Spider-Man freshman year that they're doing. There's Spider-Man sophomore year that they're doing.
Those are animated though.
Yes.
But they're still. I think they're still part of the main storyline.
Yes. Marvel Zombies. You've got Wonder Man. There's a Nova series that they're doing. There's What If season 3 that they're doing. There's a Vision Quest series that they're doing. So they've got a bunch of shit that's planned out.
Right.
And that's before you even get to
Now-
She-Hulk 2.
Okay. Right. And I would say that at least 30 to 40% of that might even fall to the wayside, because they're already talking about how the budgets that they have for these streaming shows don't equate to the money that they're taking in from streaming.
Yes.
Which I totally understand.
Yes.
But that's how you're going to compete. That's how you have to compete.
Yeah. And that's why I think, like, I don't know. I think most of those series will happen. I think that they're going to look at ways to make them happen cheaper, though.
Which could make them worse.
Could make them worse,
Right.
yes. And that's we talked about that before on the show, like that you get to a point where you're just so saturated with content, you end up hurting your content overall
Right.
because there's so much of it.
Right.
And you're basically watering down your own content.
Yeah, it's a fine line, because I think when we were talking about it before, I was referring, my side of it was that they spent too much money on Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to even make it look good, because if you think about it, even if you take inflation into the equation, if they had gone with just the rate of inflation from not even Raiders of the Lost Ark, because that was early. Take Last Crusade, 1989, rate of inflation, and just spent that amount of money based on rate of inflation. They could have still made a great fucking movie and then made some money as well. So because the special effects, they didn't need a lot of CGI. I don't think they used a lot of CGI, but they they use more than they probably should have.
Well, there's a lot of CGI in the beginning of that movie.
Because de-aging. That cost a fortune.
Yeah.
They should have just not done that.
They shouldn't. Yeah, they didn't need to.
No, they could have set that up with some exposition, or had it just had some, obviously they would have had to have the I can't remember his name, Toby something.
Yeah.
The doctor character, have him there without Indy, and he gets away, and then he calls Indy on the phone or over the radio and says, "I got something to show you." That would have been enough.
Or they could have done one, maybe two scenes with him being de-aged.
Right.
There was that whole 20-minute sequence at the beginning of the movie.
You're right.
And that you're right. That had to have been a fortune from the fucking
It was.
deal.
They've even said that was one of the most expensive parts of the movie.
Yeah. It looked good, I think.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Again, that's not what everyone else says. I think, and I agree, I see what some of the complaints are. When he's just sitting still,
it looks good.
It looks
the
fantastic.
action scenes that they don't.
It's when he's moving, you can tell it's fake.
Yes.
So, if they cut those out,
knowing that Harrison Ford is
80,
875 years old, I knew it was fake anyway.
Right, but and that what that's kind of another thing that bothers me is when people shit so much on the special effects. They're doing it with Star Wars too.
Yeah.
With the volume, it's The Mandalorian was the first production with volume, the wall. It's really, is it any different than a blue screen?
No,
but people are like, oh, I could tell it's the volume. So what? You could tell it was a fucking blue screen.
Yeah.
Why does that take away from the enjoyment of the show?
There has to be some suspension of belief.
Of disbelief.
Yeah, that's what of disbelief there. Because, when you're watching Indiana Jones, the Dial of Destiny, that's not...
That's not really a 40-year-old Indiana Jones.
Yes.
That's 80-year-old Indiana Jones with, CGI.
Yes.
And when you're watching Star Wars, that's not really another planet.
Yes, exactly.
They're not really flying around in space.
Yes.
So get over it. Complain about things that are really important, like story, and acting.
The things that really matter.
The things that matter.
I know. They find everything, every little thing.
Complaints about when they do complain about the story, it's stupid. What are the complaints they got about Ahsoka? Which, by the way,
I haven't watched it yet.
Ahsoka is absolutely the best Star Wars thing that has come out in the entire Disney era.
Really?
I will die on that fucking hill. Yes, there's some backstory that if you didn't watch the animated show, you might not understand, but you're caught up pretty quickly.
It's probably not all that essential, though, is it?
No, because anything that you can't catch up on, all you need to do is go to some Star Wars nerd like me, and I can answer your question in 5 minutes.
Or you can probably just use this thing called Google.
Or use Google, yeah. But I'm not shitting you. I will die on this fucking hill. Ahsoka is the best Star Wars since. As someone who loves Rogue One, I don't want to say since the original trilogy, but it's fucking awesome.
Well, it's good to hear.
And anyone who says otherwise, you're fucking stupid. I don't care who you are. And I don't usually say that because everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But I'm telling you, Ahsoka is awesome, and Dave Filoni is the future of Star Wars. And if
that's what they've intended for it to be.
No, that is not. If Kathleen Kennedy had her way, Dave Filoni wouldn't even work it.
Yeah, well,
anymore because he's too close to George.
Oh, okay.
And he knows what George would have wanted, and it's not what she's done.
Yeah.
So yeah. And if they cancel Ahsoka, if they don't do more with this storyline, if they cancel Dave Filoni's movie, I will cancel Disney Plus.
I don't see that happening, though.
It's not getting the numbers they wanted.
No?
No, it's doing okay. It's doing better than most of the other shows, including some of Mandalorian. It's performed better than that, but not performed to expectation.
Yeah.
And that's because, as bad as... I liked Book of Boba Fett, but it wasn't good. It wasn't great.
Yeah.
In fact, the episodes I tend to watch the most are the 2 Mandalorian episodes that Boba Fett's not even in, really. So, anyway, that being said, I can understand. And Obi-Wan was lackluster as well.
I liked Obi-Wan.
Yeah, it was good, but it just... Now, see, that's one where I can kind of understand the special effects problem. Because there's some scenes that are just... It's like they didn't fix the wall. Like, they used the wall, but they didn't do the CGI over it. So you can kind of tell. So I understand that argument. It was probably didn't need to be 6 episodes long. They probably could have done it in 4.
Yeah, I don't know. That was my complaint was that it was too short.
Really?
I wanted to see more story to it, though. I felt like it was too. It felt kind of truncated.
Well, I think it was too contrived. That's the problem.
Maybe,
it's more the problem.
That might be.
I didn't like the whole Reva. I liked the Reva character until at the end. They really need to stop redeeming the villains because then you don't have fucking villains.
Yeah. And
your villains are, if you're just going to keep redeeming your villains, and you don't really have villains, you just have people you need to fix.
Yeah.
You know, and if you want that, go watch a romantic comedy. There's plenty of movies about guys needing to be fixed in that. So, you know, there's complaints about where it fit and how it works in canon because it doesn't really work.
So
but
that's the thing that,
I'm okay with it.
A lot of Star Wars. That's the thing that drives me crazy about a lot of Star Wars fans is I guess Star Trek fans are the same way a lot of times. Is they get so fucking nitpicky on little things.
I'm okay as long as I can make it work in my head, my head canon. It's fine. I just have to be able to find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
If I can't, that's where the problem lies.
Yeah.
If I can't fix it, if it's so far off the mark that I can't just fix it in my head, then that's where it's a problem. And that's where Star Trek has been a problem. Star Wars hasn't really been a problem. And even the Obi-Wan thing isn't that big of an issue. It doesn't bother me. And like I said, because I can fix it in my head canon. And then really the only part of it is really just that Reva scene at the end.
Yeah.
You know, where she gets redeemed.
Yeah.
Because Luke being involved in that was just a little bit of a stretch. But that being said, for what it's worth, those shows aren't bad. They're just not at the standard you would hope for those shows. And that put a bad taste in people's mouth. And I'm sure that's kind of translating a bit with... And Mandalorian Season 3 was a little substandard too.
Oh, yeah. I definitely thought
compared to Season 1 and 2. But there were some improvements, I thought, with Season 3 as well. In terms of how they shot it. It was brighter. Because, you know, I've got this weird thing. If I'm watching a movie, I want to be able to see what's going on.
Exactly.
And shows today are so fucking dark.
Yeah.
That was my only complaint with Star Trek Picard Season 3. Everything's fucking dark. You can't see anything. But anyway, I digress. So that's why I think it might be hurting Ahsoka a little bit. But it is awesome. It is the best Star Wars I've seen in ages.
Yeah.
I've been jokingly saying it's the most Star Warsy Star Wars I've Star Warsed in years.
I'll wait till how many episodes is it going to be?
8 episodes, and they're 3 episodes in. So
I'll give it a few more weeks.
I would too. Honestly, I think it'll work better if you watch it kind of at least. Maybe wait till after the 4th episode drops, because I have a feeling it's going to be kind of a 2-part situation where the first 4 episodes are one thing and then the last 4 is something else.
I mean, to be completely honest, I'll probably wait till like 3 weeks after the last episode.
No, that's fine. I honestly think it's a show that would have maybe benefited from being dropped all at once. Yeah. To be honest with you. And that's taking us out of the equation that I understand why they don't.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Releasing it week to week, I get it. I hate it, but I get it. But I think this show would have actually benefited from getting dumped all at once, because then you don't have the people, well, I don't know where this is going. Yeah. It doesn't matter where it's going. Watch the fucking show.
It's 8 episodes long. Just enjoy the entertainment.
Yeah. I don't know how many videos I've seen where that's the question in the where is this going? What is the plan? Watch the fucking show.
And you've clicked on to watch those videos apparently, right?
One of them.
Well, that was their intent with that. Yeah.
It was one that I follow the channel anyway.
Oh, okay.
And I actually agree with him far less than I agree with him, but
because with headlines like that are just clickbaity.
He tends to be fair, but and he was fair with it, but you gotta let it
at least let it play out.
That's the thing about having a good writer like Dave Filoni, is he's not writing a story that's just boom, 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 boom. He's setting these characters up. He's giving them development. He's giving the story room to breathe.
Yeah.
It's not slow. People are saying it's slow. It's not slow. Shit is happening. It's just not things blowing up constantly.
Yeah. No, I get that. I don't know. Like I said, I'll check it out once it's all fully released. That way I can just kind of sit down and watch it.
Yeah. Like I said, it might actually be more beneficial for a casual Star Wars fan. And I say casual just meaning that you're not up on like the animated stuff and things like that.
I knew what you meant. I didn't take it as a slight.
Okay. You newbie.
But
amateur Star Wars fan.
we all have our thing.
Yeah.
But I can say the same thing about MCU. I mean,
yeah, and you're probably more of an MCU fan than I am. As much as I love it, you're probably more into it than I am.
yeah. Because I was always into the comics too.
Yeah,
so,
and I wasn't.
So I know a lot of the backstory there too. But so we were talking about the strike earlier. What's some of the updates that we've got going on?
So
for that?
I got late to my notes, and then I was trying to look up notes about it, and then I couldn't find anything of substance about anything that's going on like right now.
Because I don't think there really is anything.
Well, there
going
was an
on.
offer made.
That was like a month ago, I think, though.
3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And-
in fact, I'm looking at I finally found an article that's
from
up to date.
what I saw about it, it seemed like a pretty shitty offer.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago, the companies gave the Writers Guild of America a proposal that included increased compensation, among other offers, but the union dismissed the effort as half measures, not enough to narrow the gap that prompted 11,500 writers to go on strike.
I will say there's been like this. You don't really go on Instagram very often, do you?
Not a whole lot. I've been going on a lot more lately.
So there's been this like thing that writers have been doing lately. Since like I would say I really saw it over the last probably 2 months.
Okay.
So shortly after the strike started, probably.
Well, it's been going on for 4 months.
So what writers are doing is they're taking all their checks that they're getting in the mail every month, and they're opening them up on camera to show people how much fucking writers are actually made.
Right.
And there's one guy, he wrote for like a bunch of really popular TV shows. And he's like opening up his check and it's like 85 cents.
Yeah.
He opens up another one. It's like
I think I've seen that guy.
$52. Yeah, he does his he's religiously every month
Yeah, I've seen him.
posts all his stuff.
I think the biggest check he showed once was like a $210 check or something like that. And granted, now some writers are making way more than that for sure.
Absolutely.
But your basic most writers that are, because most of them are just writers for hire anyway.
Yeah.
But even some of the ones that are like enlisted to do like a show prep, like we want to do a show.
Yeah.
We need you guys to. This is what we want. We need you guys to create the show.
Yeah.
So they'll get these writers together. They'll create the show. Get everything, no scripts. We get the show developed to a point where it can be scripted, and then they say, "Okay, thank you," and they go away, and they don't even get paid for that because they're not writing scripts. They're just creating shows. They might get a stipend, but that's nothing.
They're being paid, but it's like a flat fee kind
It's
of
a
thing.
flat fee, like a writer for hire.
Yes.
But they essentially created the show from a synopsis.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big things that these writers are going on strike for. Residuals, like as you saw, some of these checks are getting are for 80 some cents.
Yeah.
And it's not enough to make a living on. And if you need writers can't have a day job
No.
and be a writer. You
Well,
just can't.
a lot of writers do, not necessarily like real day jobs, but like a lot of
but
them
some
have,
of them would have to. And
yeah,
it's like
I mean a lot. I mean, so because like most of the writers are not like your big writers that are writing movies. A lot of them are, like you said, like Joe Schmo, who the fuck knows who you are, that is
writing spec scripts.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Writing for like just TV shows, just writing. That's all they do is in their spare time is just write like script after script idea, just to try to get something going.
Right.
That's like your average writer.
But that's a fucking job.
Yeah.
And just like any other job, you should be able to make a living wage. You shouldn't have to have multiple jobs because technically you get a day job, which is fine. I have a fucking day job that I work at night, but it's a day job. Sure, I could write in my free time, but that's a job and that's a job. You're basically just working. You're not doing a 40-hour week. You're not even doing a 60-hour week. You could be doing a 90-hour week.
Yeah.
And,
But that's what a lot of those writers do because
and they shouldn't have to. Is the point.
you're right. But I get kind of why they do though, because all you need is one big fucking script.
Right.
And then you don't have to do that anymore.
And one out of every 10,000 writers gets
oh
that
yeah,
big
absolutely,
script.
absolutely.
You know, so
because
the studios are using those other writers.
Yeah.
And they're just not paying them enough.
Because look at Matt Damon and Ben Affleck.
Right.
I mean, they were just Joe Schmo actors. Just and in their spare time over several years, wrote the script for Good Will Hunting.
Right.
They were like a 1 in a million kind of thing.
But see,
though.
that's actors they were working actors.
Oh, I know. But you could take actor and put in, any kind of job. I mean,
Right. But if you're
we work with somebody that has, a regular. Actually, he's got two regular jobs, and he's a writer,
right,
on the side.
But my point is that they're already in the business,
yeah,
and they've got a gigging job, so the writing part is on the side, and that's one of those rare occasions where they could do it on the side, but they did it from within the industry.
Yes. Yeah.
When I was talking about day jobs, I was talking about writers who have to go work in a factory or go work in a fast food restaurant.
Working as a nurse.
Or work as a nurse,
and a paramedic.
And a paramedic. Yeah, so, which is fine. The person we're talking about writes novels. So, that's a little different.
It is.
It's kind of like working for yourself. Even if you were working for writing for, a publisher, you're still working for yourself.
Yeah.
You're working on your
own
time.
what I'm saying, though, is you've got people like that, that his novel that he just finished took him over 2 years to write. Mm-hmm. You've got writers out there like that that take a very long time to write a script and put it all together just because they do it basically in their spare time, and they're not making shit off that either.
Right.
And that's what really hurts.
Right.
Your average small little writer out there that's not making money off the hundreds of hours that they pour into their work.
Right. And
and they're not making anything else really off anything else either.
No, but the studios are making money off of that work.
Yes.
That's where the problem is.
Yes.
So yeah, if you're just writing spec scripts and turning them, handing them out and hoping for the best and nothing's getting bought, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But
which is probably a lot of that also.
Well, yeah, that's been going on forever. Yeah. That's never going to change because you still have to sell. You still have to be able to sell your script.
Yeah.
If you're not a writer for hire and you're selling spec scripts, that's what you're doing. Yeah. You're writing in the hopes that they'll buy that. So that's more in tune with what we're talking about with the writing side of it. But the difference is that when our coworker finishes a book, he's self-published, which isn't really part of the equation, but he's self-published, so he's still got to go through the process, and he still has to share some of his profit, which sucks.
Well, so he has to go through. Because I was talking about this with him not too long ago. Because he has to go through, and now he's finished with it. He has to send it off to have everything
edited,
proofread and edited and all that. And he said that's fucking expensive.
It is. I've looked into it myself. It is super expensive, and so. But the benefit is that when it's done, he doesn't have to sell it to a studio, and it's only the people who are manufacturing that are going to take a cut, which is fine because there's cost on their end too.
Yeah.
Where with the film side of it is. Your work isn't being. You're not just. I wrote a script. I'm going to sell it on my own.
Yeah.
And I'll get all the profit. You've got a studio's got to buy it. A studio's got to be involved. And if they are involved, they're going to make money off of it.
Yeah.
And the argument is that the writers are not being compensated when those scripts make money.
Yeah. So when we first started talking about the whole strike thing earlier this year, I kind of have to backtrack on some of the stuff I was talking about then, because we were going on about the whole AI thing, right? And I was like, studios can have AI write like a story for a TV show or whatever, but it's not gonna be good enough to be anything. And then so I tried it, and I came up with it's probably I had it write 6 or 7 different story ideas, and some of them are actually really fucking good. There's one that I came up with for a horror thriller idea, and it was really fucking good. It came up with it was like a story about these kids that find this house that's that's abandoned, and then one by one the kids die, and then at the end of it comes to find out the one friend that no one would expect was actually the killer. And he killed the last remaining person at the end, and he gets away. Yeah, I thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, see, and it's not just the chat GTP thing. It's using AI to improve that deep fake stuff.
Yeah.
Because the studios had already started working on tech that would prevent them from having to hire extras.
Yeah.
And that's a whole industry in California.
Yeah.
Because what they do is they basically just make copies of all the extras they've used in the last, over the next 5 years, and then they never have to use extras again.
They just clone it basically.
And those people don't get money.
Yeah.
And then there's the the gray area with bringing back dead celebrities, which I think is an easy fix. I don't understand why they don't just do this. So Harrison Ford did it. He signed over his likeness to Disney, which means they can deep fake him into Han Solo,
forever.
Indiana Jones, whatever they want. They've politely said they won't do that, but they can if they want to.
Yeah.
If it were me, if I was a studio head, I would say, you know what, this is genius, because these are people that, for our purposes, we have Star Wars, we have Indiana Jones, we have Marvel, we have areas where we might need to use these people when they're older in a younger state, or when they're gone.
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher. Why not just get them, they sign over their likeness, and they get a flat fee for that. And then every time their likeness is used, they get a flat fee for that, plus residuals. It's simple. Those and that would translate to their family members. Yeah. Basically, you're as an actor, you're especially an actor of 80 years old.
Here's the thing,
you're going to start getting paid for shit you don't even have to touch.
Here's the thing, though. And this is where the only issue I see with that is, like, how long? How long do you need to do that for? Because as a studio, I don't want to have to pay the family of
the great grandfather.
Yeah, you're talking about like 200 years from now. I'm still paying residuals for something.
That's fair. I mean, I guess you could argue that it would be the length of a copyright, or which is 35 years for writers. So
or why not have the rights expire when the life of the actor expires?
No, because you got to be able to set up your children. I think there should be some benefit to,
but there's got to be
to your estate.
There's got to be some kind of limitation to it, because like at the end of the day, it's a business you're talking about, and that's not a good business decision.
Well, DC's been doing it for however long the Schuster family's been dead for Superman. Every time there's Superman is used in anything, it's used with permission from the Schuster family.
Yeah,
and I think it's Schuster. It's either Schuster or Siegel. I don't know, or both. It could be both, actually.
I don't know.
But they have to pay them a royalty every time Superman is used in any way. And Bob Kane, same thing.
I guess it's the same thing with James Bond.
Yeah,
the Broccoli family and the Fleming family.
Yeah, they get stuff. Well, the Broccoli's are still kind of involved in the production anyway, but Barbara is anyway. I think she's still alive.
One of them.
Yeah, I mean, she's probably like an associate or executive producer at this point. Doesn't do anything anyway. But she's, So, those things, the Tolkien family, anything Lord of the Rings, they're getting money for that.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So maybe you can find some logistical way to put some cap on it.
But I guess on the flip side,
we're not talking millions. We're talking about just small royalties and just a flat stipend for every time their likeness is used.
And I guess on the flip side of that, if you were to put a deal like that together, and it extends forever, I guess that kind of would limit the likelihood that the studio would use your likeness in the future, because they don't want to have to keep
or use it in a way that's inappropriate too.
Yeah.
Why use it in an inappropriate way just when you're going to have to pay out?
Yeah. I guess that makes sense. So, okay.
So, I mean, like I said, I guess there should be some limit, but if it were me, I would just do it in perpetuity, because, who cares? It's money, and they're always going to make money.
Yeah.
So fuck it. But to be able to see, like, even if it's fake, to see Gregory Peck movie or a Fred Astaire movie, just for shits and giggles, I think it'd be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
Fred Astaire in 2027.
I think there's definitely value to it.
Yeah, and I think the value does apply more to genre, because you're dealing with stories that are told over literally not just story generations, but we're now telling stories generationally in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about recasting, and recasting works good sometimes.
Yeah.
It's the only good thing I say about the Star Trek movies from 2009. The casting was spot on. I mean, I think they could have done better in some areas, but for the most part,
I thought they did a good job.
Great fucking casting. Yeah, so AI, I think there's benefits, but they need to be able to. They can't use it to not pay actors, and that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I get that, and I will say that, like, when I was going through the stories that AI created for me, I think the best one was the thriller one that I was talking about. So I was trying to figure out, like, how detailed it would get, because at first it was like a maybe like a 6 to 8 paragraph thing that it kicked out.
Yeah, just like a short treatment.
Yeah. So I like, because it won't like write like super long. It won't like write a novel for you.
Right.
But I took like pieces of it and like asked it to expand on it. And it ended up being like 6 chapters that it ended up writing. So I mean, it can get pretty detailed. Some of the story got sloppy. The more detailed it tried to get, it didn't make a lot of sense.
Right.
But it was enough was there that could easily be finessed into something that might be actually pretty good.
So you figured, now say you're doing that as a TV show development.
And I will say that whole process, like getting that to be detailed, was probably like a 35-minute thing.
Right.
It did not take long.
No, it doesn't take long. And you pay some guy $100 to do that. $100 for 35 minutes? Great.
Yeah.
Or $1,000. Say it's a fucking $1,000 for that 35 minutes. Great. Now I'll give you another $1,000. Clean it up. You got a script. You got a story. We're good.
I mean,
that's one person.
Shit, I would do that.
Yeah, that's one person getting the job of what used to be 5 people.
Yeah.
All because of the AI. We know
AI. I guess that's really kind of the case for really anything though.
Right.
Look at like the assembly line. You know, how many jobs did the assembly line take? You know.
Well, but a lot of those jobs came back once they realized that automation couldn't necessarily keep up without the human element. Because if corporations had their way, they would be.
But like when it comes to like car manufacturing, it really hasn't come back though. You know, the robots took a lot of manufacturing jobs.
Yeah, but you still need people to fix the robots.
Yes, exactly.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You don't need anyone to fix AI.
Yeah.
Because once it's programmed, it fixes itself.
Yeah. Theoretically.
So, theoretically, yeah. And I know.
And I should say that like you're always going to need somebody to quote unquote fix AI because, like I said, the way it writes, it's not.
Well, we're talking like early generation here. This is what the writers and actors are doing. They're not looking at what's going on now. They're jumping ahead 10 years to what's going to happen or what could happen.
Yeah.
And believe me, what would happen if no one stopped it, because the studios, if they can buy a computer to do what, and pay one time for the computer that could eliminate thousands and thousands of hours of man hours that they would have to pay for, they'll do it in a second.
But I mean, I guess the other thing is like, I'm sure writers are going to do the same thing though.
True. And I think there should be something against that too. I think that should be part of the thing, but it's hard to prove.
Yeah.
That's the only doubt.
And that's what I'm saying though, is like.
But they will prove because AI will most likely start to repeat itself too. Because you have to.
I don't know, man.
I think there has to be some limitation because we are dealing with creativity. And I know for sure AI isn't quite there yet. And I don't know if AI ever will be enough to the point where
it might not
be as like imaginative as a human.
No, and I don't think it will. And we talked about that several episodes ago when we were first talking about it. I never thought AI will quite get to that level where it's writing like full blown like a human would. Because it lacks the human aspect of it.
Computers are always going to be too logical for their own good. Does that mean they can't wipe us out at some point because it's logical? That's exactly what the movies have been telling us. But I'd be curious to see what an AI says about. Tell them to write a story about, or to do a sequel to Terminator.
I'm sure
using AI as the villain.
I'm sure it would.
That'd be interesting. Try to make it self-aware of its own awareness. You know what I mean?
But yeah, I've actually had quite a bit of fun like going through and having like AI do these like little treatments.
Yeah,
it's interesting,
and I don't,
because it comes up with some
honestly
pretty
as
good
a
stuff.
Tool, I don't think it's a problem as a tool if writers do use it.
Yeah,
I just think it shouldn't be the end of
no.
It's the tool, not the final product.
Not the end product.
Yeah,
and I think it's good to come up, because sometimes it is hard to come up with like fresh ideas.
I don't know if there's really any fresh ideas left, to be honest with you. I mean, I can't. I mean, I'm pretty imaginative, but I wouldn't say I'm the most imaginative person. But I can't imagine that there's much that hasn't been explored in some form or another.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Because I think most things, even when they're original, they're still repetitive.
And it was interesting that story I wrote though. Like like it created all their names and backstories for all these characters, and like it was pretty detailed.
Yeah.
Like I said, it probably needed a lot of fleshing out, but to make it more cohesive. But no, it was pretty good. It was a good start.
It's fascinating. It definitely is, and I think it legitimately is a concern for writers and actors, because as I said, when you're dealing with studios don't even care about quality.
No, studios care about bottom lines.
Bottom line,
their business.
We want to spend this amount, and it has to make this amount. That is it. They don't even care. It could literally be you filming yourself taking a shit. If it'll make money, that's perfectly fine.
Because they're business.
Because it's a business. The creative side of it is always going to be at odds with that.
Yeah.
So, if at this point, in my opinion, this strike is important because it's that stand against that, because there's always, without the balance, that's the balance going way off to the one side. So you got to keep that balance.
But it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. I'm sure
well, speculation is that there could be an end in sight this year, like possibly October.
Yeah, I'm thinking like probably November, December.
That was initially what they were thinking, was November, December, because they try to get it all done before Christmas.
Yeah.
But they're saying that it could end as early as October, which would be nice.
Yeah.
The earlier the better, because it just means that much sooner you're going to start getting new material. But as far as, because the stuff I like, some of it's already started filming, so they just need to restart filming.
Yeah.
That would be. But that's just the writer's strike. That doesn't necessarily mean the actor's strike, because that's a separate union. So,
well, they're striking in unison in support of the
right. But I think their demands, and they're being offered. The negotiations are separate. The writers are fighting for this side. A lot of their issues are the same.
Yeah,
but they're negotiating
a lot of overlap, but
because they're two separate unions.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, anything else to add in?
No. Support the writers. Come on, guys.
Support unions in general.
Yes, absolutely.
But any questions or comments, you can email us at entnowpod@gmail.com. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you give us the old thumbs up, all the YouTube kind of stuff. Leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcatcher. That's about it, man. Until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Peace.
Play my role, let me tell you about it. This shit right here, man, I'm about it. Only real niggas reside around me. Yo, old lady, drop a guard around me. Dip like I know you can, bitch. Show me the ropes like we in the ring. Got you some GoPros, you wanna hang. Shoulder to shoulder, them niggas basic. You know I won't lie. You know that I ain't for that fuck shit. You niggas alright, but I'm way better and she love it. Know that y'all sick as fuck. Here go this tissue, bro. We taking the dub. Hoping you get you some. This hit like a pick me up. She taking my drugs. Know they see the sign. That's some dollar signs. Know they sick as fuck. Know they sick as fuck. Tell them get well soon. Tell them get well soon. Know you sick as fuck. Get well soon.
Oh shit. Watch out, you the god, Billy. Oh shit. Right now, and I'm smiling in your face, bitch. With a gold smile, you should probably make placement. To your eye, niggas sick as fuck. Standing with niggas who down for that party. Who down for some bitches who showing their bodies. Swear to God, nigga.